chassis of a fourth door crew cab.
You don't ever see a 2018 Denali big lift straight axle.
Who's this?
It's mine. Well, this is going to be the tallest truck we've ever built.
No pressure.
30 by 16 off-road wheel and 42-inch tires. Ooh. You know, I want to put a supercharger on this thing. Give it a little more power, man. This thing's fast.
I'm Bill Carlton. I built my first truck when I was 16. And ever since, me and my guys have been out here creating with our hands. Building the biggest, lowest, baddest custom trucks and cars in the game. People don't come here for what they need. They come here for what they want. This is Texas Metal.
Oh, Spot did this. Morning, Timmy.
What you doing? Like to buy something? I'll say something
Nah.
right here.
Man, I'm ready to get that Suburban going.
Mm-hmm. Man, I feel like we've been working on that thing for months. We've done a ton of work, and all we have is a cab and a frame.
And we have done a ton of work. Endless work. When it came to the shop, it was part 1970s, first metalwork I've ever seen. The owner wants it turned into a low four-door crew cab dually. Easy enough.
Man, that's one of the cool parts, too, is getting to see something so rusted and beat up, and then when it leaves, it just looks so good or so different, man. It's not just every day out of the box, bolts and fenders on. It's graphing everything together, making it work.
Let's get this thing going. We gotta finish up the custom chassis and rebuild the body. So we start hand making a new fourth door, body mounts, 4-link, the air suspension, and the bed. And we're gonna add a 5.9 Cummins turbo diesel. Then we're off to paint, interior, done deal.
Man, if that's all you got, go home early?
Yeah.
Let's go tell
Come on,
them
man.
this.
Let's go knock it out. The back of the Suburban just wasn't gonna cut it, so we had to cut it out. And now we're replacing it with the back of the donor truck.
I knew this day would come eventually. I mean, we're basically just working with the dash, so.
Yeah, well, dash and firewall turned out good, so now we'll make the back half look just as good.
Right on.
Jamie and Brandon Sisko from Barrett Jackson Garage get it all welded up by lining it up with the brand new rear doors.
That'll give us our line, our gap, to get the right angle of the cab. It's lined up to the back of the door just right. So now we're ready for the back of the cab. It's gonna tell me where the cab's gotta sit. We're pretty good. All right, now we gotta make all the filler pieces. I'll work on getting the sleeves made for up here to section it all back together again at the top. I'm gonna make some inner and outer sleeves so this thing will slide together a little safer. No more just butt welding the sheet metal together. Built my first truck when I was 16. My dad told me, he said, if you want a truck, you have to build it. So I started buying parts and piecing them together, and until I was all done, I had a pretty nice show truck. So I got a triple step, half-inch offset of each other, which will connect the structural to itself. The new cab will slip into the back of this one. After that's welded, this will weld in over the top. So no welds are in succession with each other. They're all stepped a half an inch or an inch the opposite ways. Some of the stuff that means the most is this little stuff right here. This little tiny piece right here could save your life. Right, let's put it on. All right, here it goes. This will let us know if we did it right or not. Boom.
Can you hold it right there? Just right there.
Now we're gonna add extra cross bracing to make it all rigid.
This'll work. Just grind it.
When building a frame, much less a frame this long, and it's gonna hold as much weight as this, everything's gotta be super strong. You gotta double up everything you would normally do. For example, the 2x5 square tubing going into the 2x4, 2x3, it all ties in together and makes for a super strong, rigid frame. I think we're gonna bend some kind of pipe in here to keep to make an X-brace, but make it cool looking. This chassis, this is the whole backbone of the whole build, in which everything affixes to this, so this has to be 100%. Whatever Mike wants to put on a trailer behind it, this is gonna handle it. Getting a job in like this, where we're completely building a car from basically nothing. It's more of a challenge than anything. You know, a lot of people see a project like this and just say, man, why? And my answer to that is just because we can. When you're building a car for a client, you know, you have all these restrictions. They know what they want. They want it as fast as they, whatever you want to, with no limits. You know, sometimes you just gotta have something for yourself. I'm heading over to a local limo service to see my boy Joseph about a potential deal that he may have on a truck.
Bill, what's going on,
happening, man?
brother? It's good to see you, man. It's
Good
been a
morning,
minute.
man. Heard you got something I need to take a look at.
Well, let me tell you the story here. You know, I buy these cars from the auction. This one car, it looked good. The price was cheap, and I bid on it. Bam, I got it. I was like, cool. The truck comes. Damn it. That's not black.
Oh, man.
That is not black.
Yeah, it kind of sticks out amongst all the rest of your fleet,
Well,
right?
yeah, the uniform for a limo company is black on black.
Yeah.
And it's four-wheel drive. So
Right.
it eats more gas, and they're more to maintain.
Right.
There's just so many reasons why this car is wrong for what I do.
Let's check it out.
Okay.
This is a 2018.
This is a 2018. It's got 6,000 miles on it.
This Yukon Denali XL is over 20 inches longer than the standard Denali. You know, that extra size is gonna work perfect for what I'm thinking of. The green, I kinda like it. That's something you don't see every day. This thing with a crazy lift on it, big wheels and tires, big shocks with air suspension, you know, adjustability of that. This thing could be really, really cool.
So you're talking about turning this thing into a monster truck.
Pretty close to it.
And I was thinking you wanted something to tow your travel truck.
No, Ollie, big lift, straight axle. This thing is gonna be big and classy.
You know what? To me, if we can make a deal where this is a win-win situation,
Yeah.
get my money out of it, just go buy a black one like I need it, I would be a happy, happy man.
Well, cool, man. Let's go do some paperwork. Let's go make it happen. Picking up this deal on this 2018 Denali, you know, it's a blessing for sure. You know, we're building cars for other people. You gotta fit within their budget, but when it's your own, you can do whatever you want. It's gonna be really cool to not have any restrictions, any parameters. Just go as wild as I want. Whatever looks good, we're gonna do it. I just love that creativity. You know, every once in a while you come across a pretty good deal. That allows you to increase your budget somewhere else and just dream a little bigger. So, you know, in this case, we're gonna dream big.
Who's this?
It's mine.
Yours.
Why are we standing under it?
You know, I hadn't had a lifted truck in a long time. This is the perfect candidate for it. I want this thing really high off the ground. I want to, you know, independent suspension. Once you go so high, it just starts looking, just cut all that out and put straight axle in. You know, 3/4 ton axles, front and rear, air suspension, big shocks. But the main focus on this build is just making it huge.
So you talking about a straight axle? What are we gonna do for power?
We gotta put a supercharger on it.
It's already got power. You just need more power.
How about Bill?
Well, that maybe even more power. So at the end of the day, tall enough for Jimmy to barely get in, me to comfortably walk underneath it.
We're gonna lift it way higher, 12 inches.
Ah, man, I'm done with y'all. Bye.
Before getting to lift this truck up, I asked Ryan to help tear it down.
36.
That ought to be a good ride height.
Hell yeah.
Maybe I can still get it in my garage. Go ahead and pull all that crap out, bag it, pull the rear end out,
All right, cool.
but just throw everything on a pallet so we can take it all out in one time. And
Bear frame. I got the whole front of the truck stripped down, took the axle out, rack and pinion, control arms, the whole nine. Now I'm gonna come in with the torch and just start cleaning this up. Cut all this stuff, got a good, nice, clean surface to start building everything off of. Just spray it down, that way you don't get it too hot. You got the weight of the motor, the weight of the body, weight of everything kind of hanging right here. Put too much heat in one spot, you get into some trouble. Gotta cut all this out, gotta cut all this out. Been cutting for a while, fella. Wow.
part of making this custom lift for the 2018 Denali is we're gonna switch from independent suspension to a straight axle. That's gonna make it a lot stronger and more durable, but first, I need a couple axles.
So we're gonna tear this truck up just to pull the axles out?
That's it, man. That's all we need. You know, a friend of mine, I told him I need some axles. He says, man, come get this truck, have whatever you need off of it. Did a mechanics lien on it. I can't put it on the road, so he's just gonna scrap it. So I got lucky today.
We're so busy, every lift in the shop's got a car on it. So we gotta get creative to cut them off.
I'm just gonna unload it right here. I'll pick the front up with the wrecker bed and the back of it up with a forklift, and we'll just cut everything out we need and just roll it right back up on the wrecker. Cut the sway bar, cut the steering shaft, cut it right here, cut it right here, so it just don't fall around.
Man, I know Chevy truck, Ford axles, gonna be a bunch of haters out there, but in this case, it works perfect. You know, when you're building a car like this with a straight axle front, you can't just put any axle. The gear ratio needs to match front and rear, so the tires turn all at the same time. You can't have them spinning faster in the back than you do the front. It couldn't be a better platform than what we have right here. We pulled the covers, everything looks good. Man, I think we're set. You know, just need to get to building. So what we'll do is drop this thing down, get it all mocked up. We'll have a big 4-link front and rear, and big drive shafts coming out of the transfer case going down to each axle. It's gonna look cool and just mean. All right? You know, looking at the steering, there's nothing there as far as anything to hook the truck to the axles for steering. You know, it had the factory rack and pinion. Well, that ain't gonna work with the straight axle. So we're gonna have to mount a gearbox on this thing and then go from the column to the gearbox, and then we can build everything else. We found our placement of the gearbox, the best spot for it to all work. So the next step is OM in there. So the box has a place to bolt to, and we put our DOM in place, so when we tighten up the bolt, it doesn't just crush the frame. It'll stay where it needs to be. The gearbox is on. We got our Ford gearbox all mounted. That connects right to the spindle with the steering arm. When you turn the steering wheel, that moves the pitman arm, which moves the spindle, which moves the wheel. To attach these Ford axles to the Denali, we need a custom drive shaft. Manny, this is what we got. So it already has, you know, the front drive shaft and everything. Just adapting it to the 2005 F250 axle.
We need to change this to a dual U-joint CV deal, so he's gonna give you more angle. We need to remove maybe the exhaust.
Yeah, we'll cut all that out of the way and do whatever we got to do to make it work.
That's the way you had it. So that thing's gonna come down and it's gonna help you on the angle back there. And on this one, we need to lengthen it and a flange attached to this diff.
All right, Manny, you got everything you need, huh?
All right, man, I got this, so I'm gonna start doing my stuff and help you out, man.
Appreciate it.
All right, man.
The 1970 Suburban only came with 3 doors. You can't just order a driver's side rear door, you gotta make it.
Gaps look good. Next thing we'll do is put our new pillar in, bolt all the doors on, and then I'll build that 4th door.
Sweet. I brought Cisco here because he's made them before. He definitely didn't disappoint, bringing a suitcase of parts to help get the job done.
This is the pillar I make. That is the matching mirror side to the passenger. Once you do one little cut on here, this will slide right up in here. Just like that. We got the makings of a 4th door crew cab. And this will slide right up in here and finish off this door jamb. When it's all welded in, it'll give it that factory look. And I'll pull out these Clecos. weld up those holes.
We're using the parts that Cisco made, parts off the old Suburban, and the new driver's side front door to make the back door.
Let's get some tape out, and I'll mark on here where we're gonna cut this thing down. Front door is quite a bit longer than the back door we're making. So our new door is only 27 3/4 to the inside edge. So we're gonna take 5 inches out of here.
All right, I'm gonna get to cutting.
Taking on a build as big as this 1970 Suburban just means we got a blank canvas. Jamie and Cisco are giving it what it never had, but definitely needs, that fourth door.
This is the inside of the Suburban panel. This is gonna fit right in there,
Nice.
like so. This corner is gonna finish off this edge, and then this new front panel I made is gonna finish off this front edge like that. When we're all done, we'll have a fourth door for the back of this truck.
All right, man, looks good.
Hold that up right there. Structure here is from the original front door. It's just been modified a little bit to fit this panel and to fit my hinge panel. And that's gonna tie in this front part of the door jamb to the inner panel. So the door actually has structure to it. It's not just the hinge bolted to some sheet metal. It actually has a factory structure. Next thing to do is gonna be to fit the door skin on. Close as you can get it. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get me an initial cut and get some more room in here. Hold it back up there again. Go ahead and go all the way up to the bottom.
I'll butt it up.
Need to notch this skin around so you can get it closer so the door frame isn't in the way.
So when you're building a custom truck, we have all these new parts, they don't fit. So sometimes we have to chop them up, cut them up a little bit to make everything work and line up perfectly.
All right, that's a lot better.
Oh, yeah.
All that's left now is to weld it on solid.
All right. Man, that looks nice. Everything looks clean, looks factory. We got a four-door now.
We got ourselves a Chevy crew cab.
What's up, man? You working on the Suburban?
Yeah. Man, when this thing was just like a couple of pillars and a quarter of a roof, did you think we'd ever get this thing running this year?
We're still working on it.
Over in interior, Heath and John also have a blank slate.
I think that light is gonna look really cool, dude.
One thing for sure, it's gonna be 100% custom.
On the door panels, you know, we do some clean lines. It's kind of hot rodish, you know, like we would do normally, but trying to change the shapes up just a tad.
You drop a little piece of aluminum in there on it just to give it a little bit of jewelry. We need to bring the trim all the way down the back wall of the truck so it all flows together. All right, well, let's do it.
Rock and roll time.
I've routed out the pieces for the door panel. Heath has the center pieces. Now it's just grind time. We gotta take our trim ring here, give it some shape and some dimension, give it some soul, you know, so it's not just flat and plain and blah. Get it nice and smooth and cleaned up so we can put it on and put some foam on it.
Marking this out so I can grind an angle to it. I'll grind this angle first, and then I'm gonna grind the whole piece down this way. Making these is really like sculpting. You know, the shape's in there, I just gotta find it. It takes a lot of grinding to find it, as you can see.
Holy Yeti, what happened to your hand? You get in a fight with an abominable snowman?
I'm gonna use it for the carpet.
He won, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. It gives you a space for your hand to go into on the back side.
We can grind at this all we want, but you got to take a little bit of time and effort, do a little by hand to make sure you get those fine details worked into it. The grinder will only fit so far in there, so kind of rough it in and come back in and smooth it out by hand and give it that unmachined look. Man, you ready to see what it looked like?
Yes, sir.
See how she fits. I'm gonna center this up here on our face panel here.
It's gonna work.
Yes, sir. I like it how that looks, flowing into both the bottom and the top inserts.
Got plenty of room for my Super Ninja Monkey Knuckles.
Nice.
It's four-link time. It's time for the four-link.
When I do my own build, I can do whatever I want. So, of course, we're gonna build the biggest lift we ever made on my 2018 Yukon Denali XL. We got the axles in. Now we just need to figure out the placement of the 4-link.
Critical stage of this whole build is the suspension. The suspension is going to have about 10 inches of travel all the way up and all the way down with the big airbags that we have. So you got to figure out the pivot points where they're going to be somewhere here. And they need to somewhat replicate the pivot points on the drive line. If not, everything is going to get in a bind. We got to find that little happy medium in between so it all goes down the road nice and smooth. Man, I think we can go with this, Timmy. We got our 4-link pivot points all figured out. We got them transferred onto our chipboard, which is our big template. You know, this is a major part of the design. You know, you have your pivot points, you have your parameters of what you have to work with. So however you lay this out and draw this out is what people are going to see when you're driving past them on the road. Rudy! What you got? Man, I think the drop down is going to be really cool. You know, this is going to be the tallest truck we've ever built. And this is the whole focal point of where all the suspension points, where it connects to the truck, where the pressure and weight of the whole vehicle is on this right here. So no pressure on you, buddy.
No pressure. Trimmed up my drawing, got it set just where I want it. Now I'm gonna go ahead and make it a cut pass. Oh, now it's all cut out. Go ahead and pop these out. Punch out 3/4 holes and Bill will be ready to place his new hanger.
Man, old Rudy always does us good. Looks like it's gonna work, Timmy.
Man, like anything on this truck, we're gonna overdo it just for the safety factor. We want to use the big head grade 8, 3/4 inch bolt, 3/4 inch Heims, just to give it the big mean look and just give the truck what it needs.
You know, it's a great accomplishment to get this part of the foundation of the whole suspension done. Man, we're ready to get going on the 4-link now.
When I build my own trucks, like my 2018 Denali, I got every intention of driving this thing off-road. So we're gonna make extra heavy-duty 4-links.
So since this is the biggest truck we've ever built, these link bars had to be extra strong. This DOM tubing have a 3/8 thick wall, and we also did 3/8 thick tabs off the rear end as well. Last thing you want to do is go down the road and hit a bump and your link bar bends, it's game over.
The way Bill drives, we got to make this bulletproof. So for extra rigidity, John and I are adding a crossmember bar. We can straighten it out here. The thing about building this is not repetitious, so you're building everything one-off. We may take it over there 10 times, but it's just the kind of a game you got to play with the metal to make it work.
Maybe we should kink it a little bit more.
That much off, that much.
I centered our roll with the center middle of the rear end. Now, do we want it centered where it's symmetrical, or do we want it centered with the cast?
I say that from here to here, here to here.
Even?
Be even.
So
we make this to this, this to this. Any pipe we bring down,
it's going to be the same.
It's going to look symmetrical from here to the pipe. We made this to clearance everything, to clear the differential cover, all that. And it gives it a little bit of look where not everything's just straight. How's that for a pivot?
Perfect.
We're adding some more tubing off the crossmember. That'll make this even stronger and look really cool.
And this is my favorite part, man. We got a good start. Everything's all lined up. We got a couple pieces in there.
It's cool to make it with your hands. It doesn't look like something you made out of the box. You're going to see 50 of them at the next car show. You're going to see one of one.
Mm-hmm.
To make a roof for the 1970 Suburban, Jamie and Cisco got to patch together old and new.
All right, so we got this roof skin for a single cab C10 that we're gonna cut and stretch 33.5 inches. Basically, all we're gonna do is cut it down the middle, cut our pinch right here, and then we're gonna section a piece of our old roof.
Let's get as much of the rear of the skin as we can without getting into that damage.
About right there.
Up a little bit. There you go. So what I'm doing now is I want to make a straight line across the back of this skin that I can measure 34.5 inches forward from and cut us a nice clean strip of metal out of this to use for the new piece to tie these two front and rears together. Pushing my way a lot. Next thing we're gonna do is weld this all together.
All right, man.
So it's been really great that Bill could put Jamie on this job with me because he's been with it since the beginning when it came in. He's seen the entire transformation from start to finish.
All right, so I got the roof done, doors done, windows in. Everything looks pretty good. So now it's off the paint body.
All right, you start making those plugs, and I'll start foaming these panels up.
Over in the interior, Heath and John are getting the door panels all in shape for this crew cab dually.
All right, now we got the panels done and all shaped out the way we want them. Next thing we're gonna do, wrap them in some Landau foam, get that carved out, sand it out to shape, get all these edges cleaned up, nice and smooth, beveled out, and be ready to wrap it.
I got the first set of our plugs cut out, but we're doing 2 sets. So I'm gonna go ahead and duplicate it on the router. I'm gonna nail these down. Then I'll router them out, and then we'll have 2 sets so that way I can do all the door pulls at the same time.
All right, so what I'm gonna do now, we've got our insert pieces here. Just gonna put a little bit of foam on them, give them some shape. Next thing I have to do is cut a groove in here for our aluminum trim piece to fit in. It's a jig and a tool. So we're just gonna take this nice beveled piece of aluminum and it'll fit right inside this door panel here. Nice and tight once it's all wrapped.
All right, we got them all cut out. They're all exactly the same now. So now I gotta lay them on here, and what it does is it covers up our screw holes that are actually gonna hold this down. Now we'll take our double stick tape, which will give us our tolerance for our material all the way around, cut it to fit. Now I'm gonna take our fit around and give us a nice little plug area for our plug to go in to cover up all our screws. Pretty much got our shape laid out right there. You can see it's a nice smooth transition all the way around. Looks like it belongs, like something that wasn't an afterthought. So now, ready to set it on the panel?
Oh, me?
Yes, sir.
Man, I've been ready.
Let's put her together.
Let's see here, all fancy with our inserts here.
All right. Look at that.
Teamwork.
Makes the dream work.
Now that we're done body work on the cab, Jamel's gonna get started on the paint. Sometimes I'll throw just a test coat of color on a vehicle just to see how I feel about it. Obviously adds an extra step to the process, but sometimes it's necessary.
When shooting the sealer, the most important thing is laying it down slick, laying it down wet. That's how sealers are designed. One wet coat, even coverage. That way you don't have to worry about bleed through or diebacks in different areas due to different shades of colors. Then we're gonna come back today with the mid coat. It's a real bright iridescent blue, suspended in a colorless binder. Once we get everything jammed in and assembled, then we'll go ahead and shoot the whole vehicle to the top coat.
Normally use a double convoluted airbag, but here we're gonna use a triple convoluted airbag that'll hold about 10,000 pounds. It's also gonna get this thing way up in the air.
All right, so what we want to do is build an upper bag mount that's removable. So we made some drops that are drilled and tapped. We're gonna weld these to the frame. This will bolt to that, and then the pipe will weld to this. So when we get done, you take these 4 bolts out, the whole top piece of the bag mount will be removable. We can go get it powder coated, chromed, whatever he wants. And you can always take a piece of pipe and put it straight to here and straight to here and find out your angles of what you want. It's a little more difficult to work with the rolled pipe, but it looks a lot better. It looks like you took your time to make it look a little different. That's gonna work.
I'm cutting and welding the final tube work on my 2018 Yukon Denali. You know, one of the most important parts of this thing is making it strong, of course, but another really important thing is to make it look really cool also. Especially on the truck, it's gonna be way up and function. It's gonna be the first thing everyone sees.
We got the final pieces in here. We moved to the top. We have the outside supported on the bag mount here. So we wanted to make something support all the inside.
minnow tie into the center structure of the frame right here. So we made these last 2 pieces of pipe. They come off here, come off here. That'll basically make everything together and have 3 points of strength. Outside the frame, and the middle of the frame. So it ties everything together to keep any shifting or moving or trying to bend up or down.
Because it's my truck, I'm gonna go as big as I can. Next to the triple convoluted bags, we went with the bigger 4.0 shocks. That's it. That is a big bag and a big shock.
It looks like a 2.0 next to that bag.
Mm-hmm.
Cool, so we'll get plenty of travel out of this thing. The bag fully compressed, shock almost compressed. We should be able to get
14.
Let's be conservative. Say 12.
We're gonna need a whole lot of air to lift those 4 airbags under the Yukon. So Jesse's fabbing all the air tanks and getting them aligned on the custom bracket.
I like that bracket. That's pretty cool, setting them up like that.
Yeah, something way different than the usual.
Yeah, you got to be different with his truck.
Yeah.
That's going to look good set up in there.
We'll build a bracket right here that uses the factory bolts. We'll weld something from that bracket down to the tank. We'll get the back one done first, then we'll figure out the front one. All right, the air tanks are in. Not going nowhere.
Man, with the rolled tubing, the big 4-length, I can't wait to get this thing tore apart, get it to coating, get it back, and get it on the ground. While the suspension is off to powder coat, it's a good time for Justin to give this truck a little more power. You ready?
I'm ready.
We put a, you always gotta have power.
You got to do something.
That's it.
So right now we're about to install this ProCharger head unit. It's a P1X on Bill's brand new Denali. So we're gonna go ahead and add a couple hundred horsepower to this thing. This is our first bracket that we're gonna install. This bolts to the driver's side head. What that's gonna allow us to do is get the Supercharger bolted up. Next, we're gonna install our belt. We're gonna tighten up on this tensioner on our Supercharger bracket, and it's gonna make sure that we have the most amount of tension possible on this drive pulley for our Supercharger. What we don't want is belt slippage at high RPMs. We're gonna pull out our factory mass airflow sensor and install it in our new charge pipe. The mass airflow sensor monitors how much air is coming into the engine so that the computer can compensate for how much fuel to spray. All we gotta do is put the power back on it and fire this thing up, and we'll be good to go. Hopefully he's happy with the extra horsepower now.
We're gonna get a few inches higher with custom wheels and tires.
Tires before? That's bad.
A 30 by 16 off-road wheel.
30? God, no.
And 42-inch tire? Man, that's crazy, huh? That's a lot of aluminum.
Man, I thought the 28s were big.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. One solid chunk of aluminum, not welded.
You know how much beer you could buy just with the shavings off that? That's a 55-gallon drum full of shavings. cool to see these manufacturers push the envelope. 2000s, everybody was being super conservative, staying in their little boxes, you know what I mean? Nobody was making anything, but a whole new generation is running these companies now, and these big corporations got some enthusiasts in what we do, and they're starting to step up.
It's like magic. God, dog.
Man, you make that look easy.
Chop, Lulu. It's all right. We got 3 more to go. Growing up from across the street from Ekstensive Metal Works, it was pretty cool in the beginning because all I seen is the nice rides coming out of there, going up and down the street, and I fell in love with the work they did. When I was 10 years old, I came over and asked Bill for a job. First, I started mowing the lawn. Bill taught me how to drive the forklift, welding and cutting, how to work. I was going to school and coming to work here at Ekstensive. The cool thing working with Bill, he will take his time to talk to you and work with you where you can know what you're doing. If you have mistakes, he will come behind you and teach you how to do it the right way. He's like pretty much my dad, and he taught me everything I know. My favorite part of this job is seeing the new cars come in, getting to take them apart for the first time to do what we do the best. To tell you the truth, there's a lot of long hours and a lot of frustration, but I'm here. I love what I do, so I'm gonna stick around.
Let's get some help to get this thing up in here. We're hitting a major milestone on the 1970 Suburban, getting our custom frame under the almost entirely handmade crew cab. Man, it finally starts to feel like we're getting somewhere on this project. We've done a ton of stuff to this, floors to roof to building doors to firewall, but we still have a long, long, long way to go.
For a while, it looked like everything was just a bunch of puzzle pieces. Now, finally start seeing it come together.
Yeah, it's always nice to see a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. You know, it's really easy to be defeated by the months it took to get here. But man, I'm getting excited because I can see it's just about to get really, really good. I have the suspension powder-coated gold on the 2018 Denali. This gives it a strong contrast with the green on the truck.
This is when the plan all comes together.
That goes with the color of the truck good, huh?
Before you get the shop up there.
It's been a lot of fun building this truck. This is the exact vision I had. Now it's time to check it out. As good as this looks in the shop, we got to get this thing out to its natural habitat. Tim's going to meet me at the off-road park to give this thing a run. Good thing about building a car for yourself, you just have your own creative freedom to do anything you want to do to it. We take that, learn from it, and maybe on the next build, we're going to think back on that and learn from what has already been done. You've never done before, or nobody's ever done before. This thing's bad. I love this thing. Man. It's been a while since I had a lifted truck. This thing, man, I like it. Getting this thing out of the shop and looking at it, stepping back away from it, man, this thing is huge.
If you see it in the shop, it doesn't look like it does out here.
Man, the 42s, the big 30-inch wheels, those wheels are crazy.
Man, I never would have thought you'd see them on a half-ton Denali either.
Yeah. I can't even touch the mirror. Man, I love the straight axles, the big four-link drop down. I mean, the bag mounts, all the tube work. I mean, you did a great job on all the tube work and everything. You and the guys always come through for me, man. I really appreciate it. The custom tanks underneath, the thing just looks impressive from the side, from the bottom.
Man, we use the biggest and the baddest of everything. The 4-links, the Heims. It's crazy when you make the shock that big look small.
Yeah, the big 4.0s, man, you get them out of the box, you're just like, man, these things are huge and heavy. But once they're on the truck, they fit right in. I mean, it just totally ties everything together and looks totally custom. And the supercharger on the hood,
but it still stays classy with the Denali.
Yeah. Just gotta watch what drive-through I go through now. Let's go check this thing out.
You ready? I wonder how deep it is right here. Let's find out. You know, being so high in the sand doing donuts, it don't get any better than that. Let's do that again. I think the wheels came off the ground. You know, I can't say enough about all my guys at the shop coming through time and time again, especially for something for me. This is a huge success.